Moving the car off and stopping the car. Sounds really easy. Let's look at observations and signals. Having a look around, checking my mirrors, checking my blind spot, no one around, gonna move off. If it was all that simple then. When learning to drive, you may have heard that you have to do something called the 6-point check. This is completely untrue. You don't need to do this to pass your driving test. You need to check in the relevant places to check that it's safe to move off before you get going. In this situation, checking over my left shoulder just seems a little bit daft because, as you can see, it's just grass and a pavement. And if someone was there, they wouldn't really be affected by me if I was to move off to the right. I think in this situation, the left mirror is acceptable. The middle mirror is acceptable. As you can see, the road bends and you can see quite nicely in that mirror. In front, obviously. Right door mirror is quite useful. And we're going to look over our right shoulder to look into our blind spot. As you can see, there's not much there at the moment, but I'm going to give you an example of when there might be something in the blind spot. This time, I've parked up in a slightly more residential location, and I'm going to show you how the blind spot can not be seen in the mirrors. I look in my left mirror, I look in my interior mirror, I look in my right mirror, all looks good. Look over our right shoulder into the blind spot, what do we see? We see a footpath of some kind and a driveway. Let's think about what could be coming in and out of there. Pedestrians, cars, cyclists, mobility scooters. So as you can see, the mirrors cannot see this area. This is called the blind spot. It's something that you need to really consider checking before moving off. When we move off from the opposite side of the road, i.e. the right hand side of the road, the checks can be done in the opposite order. So this time, checking the right blind spot would be a bit daft because, as you can see, we've just got this big electricity box and we're not going to be moving in that direction. We're going to be moving to the left. So if we start by looking out the front, we then can check in our interior mirror. We can then check our left door mirror, and then we can look over our left shoulder. And now this time, if we look over our left shoulder, we can see there's a junction. Again, not visible with the mirrors. So definitely worth a check before you move off. Remember, you want your checks to be new. You don't want them to be old. So you don't want to check and then wait 5 seconds before moving off. You want to do those checks and pretty much instantaneously move off. Another thing to bear in mind is when you've parked maybe on a slight bend. If we check our right mirror, we don't actually see much. If we check our interior mirror, we can see nearly round the bend. But this left mirror becomes really, really important because it can actually see all the way around to that white van. I've talked a lot about checking observations and blind spots and signalling, but I've not actually explained where the indicator is. The indicator, generally on most vehicles, is on the left-hand side like this. It's called a stalk. And we use it with fingertip controls. So as you can see, I'm just going to push up with my right. So to go to the right, I just push up and I push down to go to the left. So up is right. And you can see there's a little green arrow there. And then if I push down to the left, a little green arrow comes up like so. Most cars, like I said, will have this. On this side is a windscreen wiper. So we're not going to use this today because it's sunny. Has your driving instructor ever got you to do an angled start? If so, this is what your view is probably going to look like. These are tricky because, as you can see, I don't actually get to see much in front of me. All I can see is the red car in front and the junction on the right. So the question is, do we or don't we indicate? And I think the answer is yes, we do. And the reason I say this is because as we move off, our right hand indicator will be the first thing that is poking out from behind the back of that red car. So this white van that's now coming towards me will see my indicator, and that's the first thing it's going to see. So the answer to the question is, do we indicate? Yes. If we feel like it's going to benefit someone, we do. Another time you need to think about observations is when you do an emergency stop. You may get asked to do an emergency stop on your driving lessons or even in your driving test. It's really important that when you move off again, that you check your left blind spot, your left mirror, your middle mirror and look out the front, right blind spot, and look over your right shoulder.
The reason for this is because that when you stopped, you're going to be in the middle of the road. You're not going to be parked up next to the curb. So there could be anything coming up the inside of you. Cyclists, motorbikes, electric scooters, pedestrians. So that's why we're going to do a 360-degree check all the way around the car, not just middle, left and right and blind spot. Thanks for watching the video. If you found it interesting, please don't forget to comment, like and subscribe. In the description below we've got 2 links, one to find driving tests a bit quicker if you're struggling to find a driving test, and also we've got some short-term insurance details, a company called GoShorty, so you can get short-term insurance for when you're learning to drive. See you on the next video. Like I said, hope you enjoyed that, and we'll see you soon.